latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Telling you guys a bit of a review video on kind of a new product from Vango. So with me here today, I've got the Vango Riviera 390 all-season awning. So the Riviera actually is a model we saw introduced in the 21 season. 22 is kind of a similar sort of concept, slightly different side and a few features built onto it. So we've kind of done a sort of separate video for the different size. And it's almost worth bearing in mind there's also a kind of a down version from this. So you've got the Riviera All Season, and then there's the Riviera Pro Shield as well, which sort of uses a non-seasonal material. So you can always have a look at that one if need be. Main thing with the Riviera is essentially it's a slightly deeper depth than usual. So it's a 275 centimeter depth, which means that you're a bit further away from the caravan, means you maximize your internal space, have sort of the tables and chairs that much closer to the front panel to have a corridor located behind it. 390 refers to a 390 width, so it's a really nice sort of decent size. They've kind of chopped and changed the size a little bit to make it a bit more uniform with what else is on the marketplace, just because it's what people seem to be asking for more and more. So Vango took a bit of time and effort and really kind of researched into what customers and consumers are asking for and try to provide it. So we've got your all-season kind of fabric, really nice, great sort of handle to it. In terms of its actual makeup, it's kind of a polyester, polycotton, acrylic mix. So it's really quite nice between it. So you get a little bit of the benefits of each fabric. Feels like a great handle, great longevity, and more importantly, you've got a colour lock built into it as well. So it preserves the kind of the face fabric, and it's a very sort of pastel kind of tone. Really quite smart in that instance. You know, sits really quite nicely. And in terms of the shape, it's more like kind of traditional kind of caravan look. A very more kind of up, sort of ventilation pointed up here. So what you find is that the interior height of it is pretty decent. Not only is it sort of that kind of traditional look, but because it's air, it's quick and easy to inflate. Now, Vango have introduced their single point inflation system, which works really well. And we've done a separate kind of pitching video on that, showing you from one long shot how simple it is to go up. I think it took me best part of sort of 15-16 minutes, including zipping the panels in and pumping up, which means for a season awning is really, really good, to be fair. If you don't want to use a single point inflation, you can more than happily use each beam can be done individually. So everyone has got its own inflation valve, but also deflation valve. So beneath that is the separate single point inflation valve, so you can chop and choose what you want to go for. A manual pump is supplied with the actual awning as well, and if you're using single point, it's not as bad with the manual pump. I'd say something like a Tuscany where there's more beams, electric pump's probably a bit more of a must. With this, you can more than happily use a manual pump or the electric pump if need be. For the electric pump purposes, you have to buy a Vango one because they've got a special adapter. So they kind of make you buy their own pump, which is quite a canny point from them, really, to be fair. All of the panels are completely removable. When you actually come to pitch it, it makes it a lot easier to slide it into the rail, especially with that all-season material. It's a little bit heavier in terms of weight, so a more manageable slide-through weight is definitely a benefit. And it also comes in 2 pack bags as well. Again, it's about making it more manageable. It's easier to transport 2 smaller and lighter weight bags than 1 big hefty one. So by removing the panels, you can again almost put that into a separate bag if you want to reduce it again. But to be fair, 2 bags is pretty much ample. Storm straps, sort of front and sides, are included with it as standard as well, so that's an optional extra that you have to pay for, but it's included with it. Runs about 7 psi is the recommended pressure for the awning itself. The joy of the smart air sort of single point inflation system is the fact that as the air goes in, it distributes itself internally. Now these are one-wave distribution points, so actually you won't ever have a problem if there's, say, a leak with one part. It's already self-isolated itself, which is a big bonus. You haven't got to worry about it. But from a packing down point of view, it's got the flexibility as multi-point. 2 big panels located at the front, obviously got a really quite nice shaped. It's one of the only all-season awnings in air on the market that actually comes with external panels as well, which is one big point of difference. You know, it's a true what we call all-season. You can put the panels on, protects the PVC windows behind it, but also gives that extra level of privacy when you need to use it as well. So you've got panels for the front section, the side sections, and also the side windows, so it's completely enclosed, which I think for me is a real nice bonus. A slight canopy that comes out, which also is completely inflatable, so it just gives that takes the rain off and coming down directly into the front door. And then you've also got 2 big old vents located in this part here to certainly help with kind of airflow. The joys of kind of it being an all-season material is necessarily it's a bit more breathable than you might find with, say, a polyester all-season. And that's one of the kind of the benefits of using that kind of, as I said, poly cotton acrylic blend, is that you get a lot more, you get a longer lifespan, of course, hence the all-season name, but it's the breathability function, which I think for me is a big bonus. We're seeing a lot more issues with condensation these days because fabrics tend to be very waterproof and there's lack of airflow. So with this, you know, the whole fabric allows to breathe, which means on warm days it could be a bit cooler inside the awning in comparison to a normal polyester model. On the flip side of that, on a colder day, you will notice to see a slight warmer temperature inside the awning as well. The front panels, you've got like a kind of we'll call it a 60-40 door, where you've got a really nice PVC window, obviously with the curtains to get it privacy when you wanted to, and then a door located on the side here, so you can quite happily open that up and use that as a kind of a little bit of an entrance. If I can get around to the zips, there we go. And you've got a really nice kind of weather shield baffle just to kind of keep it at bay. All of the kind of doors and buckles, when you kind of roll it back, for example, they've got a really nice simple buckle system. So the buckle clip that just kind of clips into place makes it much easier, and then you can tension it. You've got plenty of sort of scope on there, so even at the best of kind of rolling it up, you can still manage it. And from a physical point of view, for me, if your hands aren't the best, I find it's a much thorough, it's probably a much thorough system. So again, we can just roll that in, and it's located in kind of 3 separate points. You've got pretty much trip-free access into the awning, where you come directly from the side, or front, sorry, or directly through the side as well. The side panels, as we can see here, again, we've got a kind of a blank window with the external sort of winter cover, internal curtain, and then this panel here. So we've almost got like a bit more of a 70-30 in terms of window to door scenario. This panel and this other side panel can completely swap over. So if you wanted to, you can actually move the sort of door which is at the back here currently and put it a bit further forward, meaning that you haven't got to worry about shutting the door on the caravan when you come and go, as you see here. The door itself also has a full mesh part to it as well, so you can unzip this back. Again, roll that nice and neatly back and utilize that sort of, again, mesh part, so you have a bit more breathability in there and a sort of barrier against the bugs. Because it's kind of the all season, it hasn't got like a little roof vent, because naturally the whole awning kind of breathes in its own manner as well. And down the bottom here, we've got kind of like a webbing strap adjustment points, so you can get some good tension on there when you need to. There's also a little beading pre-stitched onto the awning. Now that's ability that you can attach kind of a modular windbreaker or a windbreaker of some sort around it, so you can always start to make your enclosure from here rather than from the caravan as well. And to be fair, you could almost actually create a perfect kind of closure off this point, back around and into the caravan rail if you wanted to kind of keep the dogs nice and neatly in its own section. Other points to mention, the fact that we've got elasticated pegging points along the bottom, and the bottom of kind of the panels here are a really nice kind of heavy duty PVC PVC skirt, so it's going to take a bit more rough and tumble sort of whether you're dragging it around, and if it's stony or anything like that, it's got a little bit more give to it. Another little detail which I do quite like about this is actually with the panels, they give you a little description of where they belong. So when you come to open it all out, on the actual kind of external cover is a little side of things that said front left, right, front right, sides. That way when you kind of get the panels out straight, you can identify what needs to go where and easily zip it in place. The fabric has been really quite something that Vango really worked on. It's probably been in many ways been considered very much a tent brand or a driveway brand, and caravan awnings are a little bit of a different concept altogether, and you kind of need to have a different hat on to configure it. So we saw they moved to this fabric in 21, and 22 it's still as good as ever. And obviously with the colour lock features and the all-season breathability point of view, it's something that's, I think it's going to be here to stay, and we'll see it probably throughout the range a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, let's have a look inside the Riviera and talk through a load more features that it has built in. So now we're inside the Riviera, you can kind of get a bit more of a grasp for the sheer amount of space in here. One of the things I think certainly is a benefit for that kind of traditional look is the fact that you've kind of got a very kind of vertical front wall. It means, like I said, having tables and chairs, you can put it right up to the front and maximise the space behind it. And again, with that kind of, we call it like an apex roof, The internal height in here is absolutely boastful. You know, I'm about 6'2", and there's not a single spot pretty much in here that I can't quite happily fit, and that helps to make it feel a little bit bigger than you'd necessarily think it would be. We've got, also, like I said, if air comes in from a single inflation point here, goes up and then distributes itself through piping into the tubes. You've got a really nice kind of supersized beam as well to give a bit more stability, and it's only about a 7 psi, so it's not really quite a high pressure system. So it's something that Vango have known with for quite a number of years really now. Front panels, as we talked about, you know, you've got the ability that you completely remove them, have the door in that one section, or you have the curtain scenario. So the curtains itself work really quite nicely. What you find is you can have more of the traditional kind of caravan style. Failing that, you can have obviously full privacy with the blinds up, and you can actually then roll it down and put it into a little pocket located kind of at the bottom, so you've got a little tab quite nice and neatly there. All of the kind of retainers and everything here are kind of button clips, so it's really quite simple to just pull it back, pull it so. And we can actually see it with the curtains in place. We've got the external blind on that bit. And you've even got zips running along the base and the sides. So when you want to keep it there, there's just, again, the little kind of toggle points. Just keep it down like so. Very simple to do. And again, if you haven't got the best of hands, you're not having to faff around with trying to feed anything through. Just literally pop them together, clip them in, and then if you want to neaten up a little bit, you can just take that off. And it keeps it nice and tidy down the bottom. You've got 4 zip pullers on pretty much all the panels, so the joy is this, you can create this kind of veranda kind of effect. So by bringing the zips down, suddenly you can have a bit of airflow in quite nice and neatly. You can actually remove the side panels and replace it with a complete mesh panel if you really wanted to, so that is an option actually you can look at. On the sides, we've got curtains for every single section. And the joys again with the zip parts is not only can you have it in a traditional manner, but you can bring it up halfway to give yourself a bit of coverage, but also a bit of lighting as well. You've got kind of Vango's Skytrack system, which enables you to kind of put lighting inside the awning. So you've got a beading located down here, and there's also one along the back of the awning if you want to put organisers down there as well. And you get 10 sky hooks included when you buy the actual awning itself. One thing I do like about kind of Vango's concept of the caravan awnings, they tend to give you a lot of the extras you would normally have to pay for. So things like your draft skirt, your wheel arch cover, your storm straps, your rock pegs, your sort of attachment system, your manual pump, even your skyliner is included, so your roof lining. So, you know, if you add that, was easily about £200 worth of kit they're actually including in the price. So it's definitely a consideration when you compare this in comparison to, say, a Dometic model or an Isabella model, that this part is actually built into the price of it as well. The roof lining itself is pre-attached at the back. You pull it forward and it toggles nice and neatly. It's in place, doesn't take up any internal headroom height, not for me anyway, and it sits really nicely. The pattern I think is quite sharp, matches the curtains, and it's quite a more modern take. Not very offensive, I do really quite like it. I think they've done a very good job in picking something that's fresh and new rather than something that's just plain white, you know, like a shower curtain. The side panels, as we've talked about previously, you've got kind of the mesh part and normal part built in. In the way we connect it to the van, it's got Vango's own draft seal system. So it's a system designed that basically you feed it through the rail, sort of the draft skirt rail, as a physical one fixation point. The other fixation point is obviously at the top, and it creates you a point where you can put some additional foam pads and press it hard against the caravan. So you've got a foam pad nice and neatly there, and then these foam pads press against the caravan to try and minimise the draft coming in. So there's no need for poles, and you can tension it like so. And then you've got an additional kind of Velcro cover just to kind of keep it all neat and tidy so you haven't got to see it. Let's pick the carrot now and kind of have a little bit of a walk through the awning and kind of get a little bit of a better grips for sort of the size and spec and features. So you probably actually, first thing you can see is that pattern of that kind of skyline. I think it works really nicely, and then you've got the great visibility. So plenty of, almost like a 360 view around it when the windows are there, but you've got the privacy as and when you see fit. You see the skyline connects quite nice and neatly, and that's the Skytrack that I've mentioned already. That runs along the top, so you can utilise your kind of bit along the caravan and put some storage organisers quite nice and neatly there. The draft skirt, which comes included, actually velcros to the side each of the side, so you get that perfect kind of overlap, and it stops potentially dogs and things like that coming away and doing a great escape. As we kind of colour out the awning, all but the sun getting in the way, it works really nicely. Because all the panels can remove, you can, in many ways, almost use this like a gazebo, that you can just have it as a sort of roof with no sides, as I'd seen from kind of our pitching video itself. But it sits really nicely to the van, and you get obviously a really nice pitch of the roof, especially with the storm tie downs, to give you that extra stability as and when you want it to. You can also see at the front here the extra vents located at the top under that sort of canopy pole, and then you've got the additional kind of zip just there for those external panels that work quite nice and neatly. You've got a 2 valve system, so the top one is basically the multi-point, the one below is a single point, and again they put little detailing on there just to let you know that that is the sort of single inflation point, entry point. Overall, I think it's a really quite nice awning, something a little bit different. Vango in many ways are kind of the underdogs when it comes to kind of caravan awnings, or should we say they're not, maybe not underdogs is the best word, but not the go-to brand everyone thinks about. So what they've kind of really got to do is compete from spec, price, and kind of obviously what you get for your money. So I think as a whole, from a price point, what you get a lot of extras included, like we said. Spec wise, you still got a good level of spec, quality, and even unique features. The blinds for external storage, the Velcro system, the draft seal system, the skyline that's built into it. There's a kind of a lot going on here. So I think as a concept, it works really well. For more information, you can always check the link below the video. It'll take you straight through to our website, where we've got everything from the pack sizes to floor dimensions to individual features listed for you, as well as obviously the price. The only other optional extras I would recommend would be they do bespoke floorings for kind of Riviera, and you've got the ability of buying additional annex that can go on either side. You can have up to 2 annexes on one model. So that gives you the option of actually using it for storage or for sleeping people in, and they do an all-season kind of fabric to match it just for so. So yeah, I think overall, great model, lots to talk about, and I think, to be fair, it's just got a really nice hand-on feel to it. But by all means, if you have any more questions, feel free to comment in the box below. Let us know what you think of the product itself, as it's always great to have feedback. But that is kind of our little video review on the Vango Riviera 390 all-season awning.